Higgins quit because he was a bit crazy. You're not a bit crazy, are you? These paintings, they're just paper and pigment, nothing else. See you in the morning. Sorry, I forgot to mention. If anyone does try to break in, then don't try and be a hero. Just call the police and run. Okay? Stay safe.
Welcome to Merlehaven's Unsolved Mysteries. Tonight, we'll be trying to solve the murder of Merlehaven's most famous artist, Mordechai Gray, brutally murdered in his loft last year. On the night of All Hallows Eve, Gray had been painting 6 portraitures at the time. They were all suspects according to Justice Hoon, but Hoon was unable to convict any of them. Could there still be a killer on the loose? Was it Dominique Serron, the lush burlesque dancer? Or Otto Pipistrel, our now famously cancelled ventriloquist? Or perhaps Lilith Rendell, the island's only undertaker? Gray was also painting Sunday Finch, our twinless tennis star, Xavier Hahn, the reclusive clockmaker, and finally, Vice Justice Catherine Myers. Perhaps Justice Hoon was covering up for his understudy. We have all the juicy details coming up, but before we discuss those murderous muses, let's delve into the mind of a killer by retracing their footsteps on that fateful day.
Welcome to Gallery Argenta. I'm Jamie, your jovial art museum information educator. Push my buttons and see how I respond. Better known as her alter ego, Miss Moonstruck, talented dancer Dominique Serron regularly performs her bewitching blend of ballet and burlesque at the Moonstruck Lounge. At one time set for stardom on the West End stage, Dominique's path took an unexpected turn due to a tragic death in the family, but London's loss soon became Merlehaven's gain. As the last remaining funeral director on the island, Lilith Rendell ferries Merlehaven souls to their final destination. Angel to the bereaved, she comforts those left behind, whilst pioneering carbon-neutral cremations and burials using compostable coffins. Otto and Pip are Merlehaven's most famous comedy duo, having secured Best Comedic Performance for 3 years running at the prestigious Golden Auk Awards. Pip also has his own solo career, which includes a best-selling children's book and a cartoon series based on the Pip is Hip universe. Professor Catherine Myers is Merlehaven's current Vice Justice serving under Justice Hoon, and is directly responsible for maintaining criminal laws and rehabilitating offenders. She's also the mastermind behind Merlehaven Manor, the island's only penitentiary, allowing offenders to rehabilitate closer to home instead of being sent overseas. Sunday and Monday, Merlehaven's most remarkable twins, were already well known as the miracle test tube daughters of geneticists Goddard and Constance Finch. But they found fame in their own right on the tennis court, quickly becoming the world's youngest and most memorable doubles champions. Perfectionist surgeon turned clockmaker Xavier Hahn is Merlehaven's most in-demand artisan. He took a small hiatus when his mother died last year, and more recently after divorcing his wife Caroline. But his reclusiveness and rare output has made him more in demand than ever. The Henge is a rock formation that was allegedly home to the last ill-fated great auk before being consumed by the founding fissures. The distance and angle of each stone also correlates with the Fibonacci sequence, which spiritual people believe affords it a great focus of power. The Merlehaven Butterfly Park and Centre for Tourism is on the north coast of the island, and is home to over 2,000 exotic butterflies from all over the world. Merlehaven has its own unique butterfly species too, a merlefly, which resembles a red admiral but with asymmetrical markings on its wings. Crystal balls were banned on Merlehaven in the mid-1970s, along with all paraphernalia of divination, and now only appear in painted form or behind secure enclosures for educational purposes. The triumvirate, who jointly agreed to the necessity of the new law, cited the protection of mental health as the primary reason. During an excavation of the Henge in 2011, a hive of secret passageways and rooms was found running all the way to the Aurora Woods and beyond. This giant crystal ball is one of the few artifacts recovered during the dig, and due to the ban on all paraphernalia of divination, is now safely homed at Gallery Argenta. Don't try to see anything in it. That would be illegal. Originally an unorganized burial ground for the first settlers, the plot was turned into the largest solitary graveyard on the island, with thousands of headstones honoring the dead. Only Merlehaven residents with pre-booked plots can be buried here now. Merlehaven's picture postcard lighthouse was built soon after sailors arrived on the island, and was tended by lighthouse keeper Leon Knoll for an incredible 53 years. After Leon's retirement in 2010, the lighthouse stopped working, and any attempts to fix it have been in vain. Mordechai Gray appeared to have a strange fascination with the building, and it appears in several of his works. This arresting dreamscape was the second painting in Gray's dream period. Mordechai never revealed what the painting was supposed to represent, and only spoke about it in one rare interview, where he claimed that he could still hear that infernal tick, tick, tick. Controversially, some people say they can see pagan imagery in the piece. Gray's painting of the Aurora Woods is often compared to Edvard Munch's The Scream for the curvature they share. But Merlehaven residents have noticed another pattern. For them, the Aurora Woods is sister to the undulating hills, and they do share physical borders. Merlehaven Island was discovered in 1953 by crab fishermen who'd sailed too far out of the wash. The island was populated by many great auk, even though they had been declared extinct over 100 years before. These penguin-like creatures are still celebrated in Merlehaven's annual Auk Festival. The loop depicts the main road encircling Merlehaven that runs around the island and back again in the shape of a Mobius strip. Gray said that if you stand still for long enough on the loop, you'll meet everyone on the island. During the freak fish storm of 1976, the first mayor of Merlehaven was hit on the head by Majesty, breaking his neck and ending his reign for good. Some scholars believe the fish storm was caused by a Concorde flight from England, whilst others point to a more sinister ceremony near the henge. Either way, Mayor Spence sleeps with the fishes now. Merlehaven is still a major fishing venue, and its shores offer plentiful supplies, enough to keep the whole island fed for years. The docks pictured here are built on the very same site the original settlers landed. No one knows who she is, but rumours abound. Mordechai's first love? His first wife? An ancestor? But why all the blood? Endearingly nicknamed the Mordechai Lisa, some say she bears a striking resemblance to his mother. A staple of popular folklore, the so-called Butcher of Merlehaven was the villain of many tales of missing pets, vanished children, and cannibalism. The island's modern-day butcher, however, takes a more cosmopolitan approach and has recently begun working with a lab that offers synthesized meat.
I'm Higgins, and and I stopped questioning why or how this place existed a long time ago. I've updated the recordings with the truth for your listening pleasure. Everyone knows Henge is used by the Luxyrus cult as a summoning circle to bring forth whatever their latest fancy is. It was, however, created by a man-made explosion during the founding fishers' search for coal. The Butterfly Park is incandescently beautiful with its water fountains and Art Nouveau sculptures, and the most wonderful place to relax. That is, until you realize that the merle fly is actually carnivorous, like the Pheneseca tarquinius, and enjoys gnawing on its bedfellows. You see them too, don't you? Banning all paraphernalia of divination was passed to stop the dead talking about what Mayor Spence had done to them. The triumvirate did what it always does. It protected itself, leaving regular people at the mercy of the afterlife without any ability to communicate with it. From what I can tell, the catacombs under the Henge served as a safe place for the witches of Merlehaven for years. The excavation in 2011 was paid for by the Argenta family. I suppose they'd moved their stuff out by then. The triumvirate tried to out-and-out ban burials decades ago, but that kicked off a revolution from grieving Merlers. So instead, they passed a law limiting the size of the burial ground and gave council aid to Merlers who cremated their relatives. If you don't fall into either of those categories, you're either buried at sea or fed to the undulating hills. Lighthouse keeper Leon Noel jumped from the lighthouse and died a year after he'd taken up residence there. It was his spirit that kept the place alive, and it was only set free in 2010 when his ex-wife died. He originally jumped because she'd left him, and when he could sense she was close to the end, he left Merlehaven forever to be at her side. Gray went to prison for that thing. Most of Mordechai's dream works were created autonomically, channeling the will and the way of the heart of Merlehaven itself. The future is a message to the rest of the planet, showing a clock ticking in Mother Nature, superimposed with the rituals of humanity, depicted as a pentagram. It's a prediction of death by climate change. Nothing more, nothing less. The Butcher of Merlehaven has always been one of the most respected inhabitants, with that title being passed down generationally and still unsullied. The current owners are the Milgrams, and their family crest motto is "Eat the Rich," which sounds pretty fair, considering the state of the world today. The Aurora Woods really do scream. Allegedly, due to their strange molecular structure, they let out an unpleasant shrieking sound each time they are hit by an axe. I think it's more to do with all the drownings they've seen. Either way, I'd use a chainsaw. Merlehaven is not an island, it's a creature. There is no bottom to Merlehaven. If you dive downwards, you will see more rubber-like skin that looks the same as that which is found on the undulating hills. There's no question that Merlehaven Island is part of a sentient creature. But the problem is, nobody knows what it wants. Our drunken crab-fishing forefathers couldn't build a road in a straight line, hence the loop. They ate Majesty, you know. After saving Merlehaven from Mayor Spence, Majesty was spit-roasted by the Argenta family over a campfire at the Henge. Doesn't say that in the brochure, does it? If you're lucky, you might be able to convince a helicopter pilot to land in some unmarked grassy knoll to pick you up. But since there's no airport on the island, the only way in or out is through this ungodly dock. Merlehaven is mostly surrounded by sharp, gangly underwater protuberances, and the dock is where fewest are found. But they still take out the odd ship or two. See how her mysterious eyes follow you around the room? I know her name, and I'm not going to tell you. Dominique Serrant was a rare triple threat. A dancer, singer, and actor whose talents burned so bright that she landed the lead role in a West End musical as a complete unknown. No longer would she be a nobody from a nowhere island. Dominique was destined for greatness, and she couldn't wait to leave her past behind. Or at least, that's what she thought. Rising from the ashes of grief like a corseted phoenix from the flames, Dominique found her calling, performing burlesque at a local bar. She set pulses racing with her daring act under the watchful eye of her boss, Leo McIntosh. But all was not well, as patrons of the Moonstruck Lounge suffered a string of mysterious thefts, with the perpetrator appearing to use Miss Moonstruck's show as a convenient distraction. After a preposterously short courtship, Dominique accepted a marriage proposal from dull and dependable English teacher Adam Taylor. But that love-blind fool couldn't satisfy her insatiable needs. Desperate to break out of her rut, Dominique flung herself into the arms of her boss, a move that was only slightly less reckless than attempting to extort money from Mordechai Grey. Dominique, the burlesque ballerina. Whilst it seemed like everything was against her, I think we all know Dominique only had herself to blame.
You're talking about the Johnsons, right? Johnson.
Business took a turn for the worse after Lilith's parents died. She set about honouring their name by discrediting the Johnsons, her only competition on the island. After breaking into their mortuary and removing various body parts from the deceased, word spread like the plague, and soon Rendell's was the only undertaker in town again. Worn down by the stream of grieving bereaved, Lilith came up with an infallible plan to cheer customers up by spiking their drinks with tetrahydrocannabinol. It was a short-term fix, and Lilith wanted more. So she made a deal with Mordechai, who provided her with a cocktail that was unashamedly permanent. When Mordechai found out Lilith had been tucking into her guests, he threatened to spill her secrets unless she supplied him with bodies. So, under duress, she agreed. Mordechai reasoned he simply wanted to paint still life, but she suspected he had more sinister plans for the cadavers. How much further would Lilith go to protect them and her secrets? Lilith Rendell ate up everyone and everything that got in her way. If you knew her real secret, you'd be as good as dead. But on the bright side, she'd handle everything for you. Otto's parents lived a marriage of convenience, neither content nor alone. But as the years went by, Mr. Pipistrelle's indiscretions became more frequent and public, like the arguments that followed. A teenage Otto, sheltered in his room, and having too much time and imagination on his hands, created Pip, a best friend he could talk to whilst his parents' relationship self-destructed. Otto and Pip's comedy duets were an overnight success, bringing tours abroad and lonely nights on the road. Following in his father's footsteps, Otto drank too much and courted too many, which culminated in an overdosed and pregnant fan in his hotel room. Once Layla's story broke, Otto became a pariah, but Pip came out unscathed. After Layla, Otto vowed never to drink again and entered rehab for one last time. When he emerged, he found an inbox littered with job offers for Pip, but none for himself. Desperate for money, he pimped out Pip on his own, but companies used other voice actors to portray him. With Otto's personal legacy in ruins, he hit the stage again, but without alcohol or Pip to back him up. This time, the critics were not so kind. Her. He would fall in love with her, and she would fall in love with him, or at least appear to. A devout fan of his solitary stand-up show, she would marry him if he would give up Pip. And so Pip was sold to the highest bidder, Mordechai Grey. From that day onwards, Otto would never see a penny more from his puppet, and Mordechai would own his most treasured companion. Smitten with her, Otto struck a deal with Mordechai to paint a portrait of his fiancée, but profited from it without her knowledge. She would leave him after that, and Otto would never really know why, but he did know that Mordechai had taken everything that was dear to him. All he had left now was nothing but regret, remorse, and revenge. Otto Pipistrel, a drunken womanizer who became increasingly jealous of the puppet he'd created. A puppet that had outgrown its master and was pulling its own strings. Catherine's parents were killed when she was just 13. They'd gone out to buy Christmas wrapping paper, only to be shot multiple times in the post office by an armed robber who was never found. She studied law to seek ways to avenge her parents, and it almost worked. Catherine had too much power at her disposal as Vice Justice, and managed to rubber stamp her own Recreational Rehabilitation Act in 2017. This allowed Justice Hoon to decide what constituted a penitentiary on Merlehaven, and Catherine quickly offered her own Merlehaven Manor as such, allowing her to deal with criminals as she saw fit. Catherine was so proud of Merlehaven Manor that when she opened it up to the public, she only expected people to see how happy all the patients were. But one reporter, Kim Park, uncovered a different narrative. One of electrocution, starvation, sleep deprivation, and hypnosis. Not unexpectedly, Kim became the first overseas addition to the manor when she was arrested for littering. Since then, she has had nothing but praise for Catherine and her methods. Luxiris was formed by the founding triumvirate to protect themselves from the spirit world. But in doing so, they created a group of powerful spiritualists they feared even more. So the Luxiris headed underground, and anonymity preserved their existence. But Mordechai was about to change all that. Free from Catherine's hypnotic control, Grey threatened to tell the world Professor Myers was High Priestess of the Luxiris cult, and that her prison rollout was just the beginning of her world domination plans. Vice Justice Catherine Myers, a narcissistic megalomaniac who thrives on controlling others. Fortunately, Mordechai managed to shake off her spell. Sunday and Monday's story began in a lab. Two babies carried by two different mothers, generated from a single egg, the world's first human clones. Birthed in secret and growing up under the watchful eye of their parents and other geneticists, the twins developed a devoted and unshakable bond. Boosted by private lessons from world-class coaches and a genuine love of tennis, Sunday and Monday's natural talent quickly shone through. The twins dominated in every tournament, quickly rising up the ranks against older and more experienced players. The twins' ambitions were frustrated as Monday's unexplained health issues interfered more and more with her ability to play. Weakened and growing more sickly by the day, Monday encouraged her sister to compete in a singles tournament without her, while Sunday began to imagine what her career might look like without Monday by her side. Reeling from the death of her sister, Sunday uncovered the truth about the twins' true origins. That they were the last in a series of failed experiments by scientists masquerading as parents. Although they'd fled, she would consider forgiving them if they grew her a replacement sibling. However, she still believed Monday's death was all Mordechai's fault, despite her own backhander. Would killing him put her own demons to rest? Sunday and Monday Finch, spoiled brats whose names were almost as pretentious as they were. They thought they were so perfect, but they were born with fatal flaws. Always the perfectionist, Xavier's slow and steady hand killed more patients in surgery and paid out more fees in negligence than any other doctor in Merlehaven. Fortunately, Nurse Caroline, who was employed by his mother, collected enough evidence to have him struck off the medical register before he could do any more harm. Rich and controlling, Xavier's mother had been paying Nurse Caroline to look after her son, and not just in maternal ways. It had been easy to manipulate his former years by telling him he had von Willebrand's disease and diabetes. But as her dementia kicked in, she saw him as a threat and paid her daughter-in-law to murder him. That didn't quite go to plan, though. Xavier killed his mother. Then Caroline tried to kill him. Sorry, she tried to self-defense him. Xavier didn't buy it, of course, so Caroline offered to take the blame for his mother's death to prove how much she loved him, as long as he'd cut her into the inheritance he'd receive if he wasn't implicated. That's how love works on Merlehaven.
You want a clock with my... Would you mind awfully if... The whiskey glass, I get it started.
Miraculously cured of his illnesses, Xavier began to question the strength of Mordechai's power and their deal. His only conclusion could be that the most famous, most beloved artist of Merlehaven, Mordechai Grey, was the devil incarnate. He believed Mordechai killed one of the other muses with a haunted clock he'd made years before. But was that really the truth? Or was Xavier just seeing things again? Xavier Hahn hardly finished anything he started. His mother hated him, his wife tried to kill him, and like a smitten schoolboy, he fell in love with his teacher.
Well, she's the gallery owner, hence Gallery Argenta. I've never actually met her, but she sounds lovely on the phone. She's also very lenient when it comes to breaking even. We don't often make a profit. In fact, she's mainly concerned that I keep hiring people to stay here overnight. Must be really worried about the insurance or something. Gallery Argenta's been in the Argenta family for over 100 years. Originally it was used exclusively to show and sell the artwork from the family. But nowadays Miss Argenta opens it up to the public. I get to choose most of the exhibits myself. Well, I pick a handful and then she picks from those, but same difference. As far as I know, the Argentas were a family of jewellery makers. The paintings were added once it was open to the public. Actually, I'm not sure how many Argenta pieces we have anymore. Most of them were sold or returned. There was a display case somewhere with the Argenta work in, but, maybe it's gone? There is one octagonal hidden room. I don't know where it is, and I don't want to know. Allegedly, it was used for sacrifices when the place was owned by a cult leader some 100 years ago. Don't look into it. It's icky. Higgins said he was having strange dreams at the beginning. What type of dreams? I don't want to know. Just, if it starts to affect your work, then maybe see a doctor. I'm useless at these kind of things. How did you know about Higgins? Wait, did I tell you? Yeah, it was probably me. Higgins was the security guard for 6 months before you arrived. He was our 6th guard, actually. His address was 6 St. Catherine's Court, Maidstone. 666. I'm having an epiphany. I'll be right back. Higgins was, seeing things. Things that weren't there. Hallucinations. He'd often point in the middle of a wall and say there was a room behind it. I think it was probably the sledgehammer incident that got him fired. Oh, sorry, quit. Not fired. I've said too much. Miss Argenta did fire Higgins, then agreed to accept his resignation for his CV. On his last night, he started smashing through the corridors, looking for these hidden rooms that he expected to find. Mainly, he just found the grass outside. It caused a lot of damage. No, they don't. What you're talking about is more likely psychometry. I felt the same thing when I was working the night shift. I could pick up a painting and it would show me a memory of itself. Perhaps it's really strong in you, and you think that you can see it. Don't freak out. Stop touching the paintings. There is no restoration table. Miss Argenta is very particular about that. She doesn't want any modifications being made to any of the pieces. If if you find any artwork that looks like it's been tampered with, you let me know, okay? I think you're probably dreaming. Have you caught yourself asleep during your shift? I won't say anything, but Miss Argento would not be happy. Not that she comes in ever. Get some rest. You'll be fine. Mordechai Gray is the artist who was murdered last year. It's the main exhibition at the moment. I think you've probably just seen that phrase somewhere around the gallery. Yes, very Mona Lisa.
Thank you for calling the Tips Hotline. Tips Hotline can reveal one of the innocent suspects. This is a paid-for service. Please hang up, insert payment, and redial. Have a nice day.
I'm sorry you're like this now, Mordechai. The hills have done things to you that can't be undone. The portal was perfect. And on the side of the lighthouse, you're so thoughtful. Let's tell people I'm your daughter, even though you're not a founding fisherman. The Starlings groomed witches. Still do. I was the last sacrifice, though. Do you know it rained fish after they murdered me? So it half worked. They killed Spence. We need the blood of 6 royals. There are no royals in Malhaven, Mordecai. You must paint them. Catherine is lost. She's become evil. Although there is something I want from her. She cannot be High Priestess. Do whatever you must. There can be no royals in the church. Lilith is pure of heart, but corrupt of soul. We need 6 of the freshly dead on Malhaven soil. Then they can be avenged. Xavier is trapped in a prison of his own making. He is controlled by his origami. Give the origami to Monday Finch. She'll die anyway, but this way she'll take it with her. I'll send Alejandro after Otto to get Pip back. You'll need to buy him. See that Dominique gets her money. She deserves to leave this place. I'll take care of Sunday's parents before their next iteration. The bodies, the blood, the royals. Then we save Merhaven by sending it back to where it came from.
It was a cold and frosty morning on the 31st of October when Gray received a solitary telephone call that police traced back to a public phone box in the theater district. The call lasted for 44 seconds and appeared to be from one of Gray's portrait subjects. During the forensic sweep of his loft that night, police found a note in Gray's handwriting that read, "Unhappy. Destroyed portrait. Meet at lockup. 4 p.m. Why do they think the killer made the call? Because it gave them the opportunity to enter Mordechai's loft when they knew he would be absent, concealing themselves, waiting for their prey to return.
Well, they should have warned him. Whatever made all of those miners get sick was still down there. I couldn't afford to do anything about it, so they just got away with it. Well, it wasn't an accident. They knew the risks. He didn't even spend that long down there. A few days, maybe? He was just supposed to be collecting some coal samples. 3 months later, he was dead. You know, I could get used to this. It's strangely therapeutic talking while you draw me. And kind of hot. I'm just trying to make you blush. It's no fun when you don't play along.
Normally, I go to Marigold's in the morning to pick up flowers, then call customers to remind them it's their relative's funeral. You would not believe the amount of murderers that forget. If I get stuck in the theatre district, I just call from the phone there. You're talking about the Johnsons, right? They accused me of messing with their mortuary to cover up for their own negligence. It was after Mum and Dad died.
I had this babysitter once called Holly. She looked after me for years. You know, fed me jam tarts, let me stay up late. She was great. Then, all of a sudden, she was gone. There was a lot of shouting, so... Thanks, Dad. Fans pay me to call them or as a gift to others.
They pay to hear me.
Well, yeah, they usually want to hear his voice.
I own you.
I call from a public phone box, so they can't ring back.
He's a professional stalker.
Marcy's in the theatre district. Halloween's gonna be free drinks if you're female.
You like 'em tipsy, don't you?
Well, people laugh more when they're tipsy. Marcy's in the theatre district. Halloween's gonna be free drinks if you're female.
You like 'em tipsy, don't you?
Well, people laugh more when they're tipsy.
Most of our patients have troubling dreams. But instead of medicating them, we use hypnosis as a therapy. Kim is well aware of that and is trying to blow it all out of proportion. I've stopped using the word criminal to describe people at the manor. They're all just patients to me, waiting to be nursed back to health. I like the way they look at me when they're fixed. We take a picture of our patients before they enter, and one just as they leave. A before and after, if you will. Do you want to see yours?
Well, passion's important, but do you know what else you need? Money. Preferably lots of it. We have private courts and can afford private coaches, so we're very lucky. But it's essential if we're going to be the best in the world. Well, our parents are gallery patrons, so we go there a lot. They get an incredible amount of work for such a small gallery. Did you see the Wilmington retrospective? We love that.
I thought you were born and bred here too, Mordechai. Merlehaven was discovered in 1953 by crab fishermen who had sailed too far out of the wash. Didn't just suddenly rise out of the sea. I'd like to live a long and fruitful life, but I've inherited type 3 von Willebrands and type 2 diabetes from my mother. That's not a great combination. Nick my toe before bed, and tomorrow you shall find me a grave man. I thought you were born and bred here too, Mordechai. Merlehaven was discovered in 1953 by crab fishermen who had sailed too far out of the wash. Didn't just suddenly rise out of the sea.
You've quite the obsession with dead bodies, Mordecai. That's coming from an undertaker.
I thought you were born and bred here too, Mordechai. Merlehaven was discovered in 1953 by crab fishermen who had sailed too far out of the wash. Didn't just suddenly rise out of the sea.
What about you? Why are you still here? If I had your money, I'd be long gone by now. Mojitos in the Bahamas. It's this island, isn't it? Every time I try to leave, it drags me back.
Am I talking to you through Mordecai's memories? Or am I just a figment of your imagination?
There was barely anything left of him by the time I got home. Just a gasping husk with pleading eyes. It all happened so fast. I'm an only child, so I had to arrange everything myself. I made the first cut to start embalming. Her eyes just shot open. She was gurgling something and I didn't know what to do, so I just carried on, cutting until she stopped. I'm just kidding, Mordecai. Oh, you've got to have a sense of humour in this business.
I did see Holly at the cafe. Barely recognised her.
Did she turn around?
She started crying when she saw me. Uncontrollably.
Well, you're a real looker.
I offered to drive her home.
After what your dad did?
What do you remember of being in the manor, Mordecai? Clearly you've forgotten some of our work. You stopped coming to church after your trip to the hills too. What happened out there?
That was all part of the experiment, of course. Everything equal. Although it didn't always work out fairly. Like with the kittens.
Oh, poor Buttons.
Buttons was Mondays. I was even more pretentious back then, so I named mine Orlando. Grey Persians. Mother and father said they were exactly like us. 2 peas from different pods. But Buttons was murdered.
Mordecai already knows who killed him, so if these are his memories, then he's just playing with you. Is it nice having someone manipulate you?
Father said it looked like he'd been poisoned. Who could do such a thing? Mother found him in the garden. We weren't even allowed to see him. No. But we share Orlando between us now, don't we? And he really is the most spoiled cat. We don't have mobile phones. Father says they scramble your brains. Well, I just don't want one. We have a phone at home and there's one in town. Did you know it's the only public phone box on the island? They got rid of all the rest.
Adam's a theatre buff. He actually lives next door to the Baconian. He's playing Gerald in an Inspector Calls, the one who cheats on his fiancée. He very earnestly told me that it was just a play and I shouldn't worry. Adam's a theatre buff. He actually lives next door to the Baconian. He's playing Gerald in an Inspector Calls, the one who cheats on his fiancée. He very earnestly told me that it was just a play and I shouldn't worry.
You know, I pass that building every day, but I've never been in. Shameful, innit? I should be supporting local businesses, but all those dead tourists. Do you think it will affect turnout?
Inspector Calls is the next one, I think. I'm a Baconian, so I get free tickets to all the plays. I just need to pick them up the morning before the show.
Tourism is booming. Visit Merlehaven, the land of ghosts and fish. Thing is, people are told the hills are dangerous, and they still go. Hate picking up bodies from there.
You and I have a long, illustrious history, don't we, Mordy? So lovely that we've been brought together for this piece. Tell me, how have things been going since we last met?
I'm worried about you. She fainted in the theatre district the other day. I was fine. Everyone was super helpful. Yes, after they'd finished taking photos. It was just low blood sugar. I shouldn't have starved myself. I was saving room for Veroniki at Nora's Deli. It's my favourite. We go there all the time.
Kyoko said if I ever cut myself in anger, if there was blood in a piece I was working on, I should destroy it. She said it would attract lost souls and create a Zorigami, a possessed clock. Patients sign a waiver before a surgery that absolves the surgeon of any criminal prosecution. So no, I've never murdered anyone.
He always calls to wish me luck before a show. And then afterwards, he's waiting outside to walk me home. It's sweet. We usually go back to his place. It's in the theatre district, so it takes longer, but I don't like staying at my flat. Too many memories.
No. Oh no! No. Oh no! Yes!
What were you doing in the theatre district on the morning of the 31st of October?
I had to pick some things up from Adam's.
So, Mr. Taylor can vouch for you?
No, he wasn't there. He just left them outside.
Did you use the payphone?
Yes, but only to call a cab. My battery was dead.
I was in the phone booth, but I didn't make a call.
What were you doing?
I was putting up flyers.
For what? You're the only undertaker on the island.
For the meat business.
We didn't find anything in the booth.
Good. Means someone took it.
I called a few fans, yeah.
You didn't call Mordechai Gray?
I lost his number a long time ago.
How long were the calls?
Not long, usually a minute or so. They usually just want me to say something using his voice, you know.
Did you call Gray?
Oh, yeah, I dialed 666 666. That's it, isn't it?
That's actually quite close.
I don't recall. Sorry.
Have you ever used the phone box in the theatre district?
Yes.
On Halloween?
I said I don't remember. Why? Did anyone see me?
Do you often visit the theatre district?
We used to. We like the deli.
Did you go there on the morning of Halloween?
No.
You're sure?
Yes, I was running a training camp for some local children.
Where was this?
At our house. We have a private court and Monday insisted we share it.
No, I didn't use the phone that day.
But you do frequently use the public phone booth Mr. Gray was called from.
Yes, but not on that day. What are you trying to say, Detective?
I thought I'd just leave a message. Didn't want to wake you. Hopefully you didn't sleep all night. And just don't let Miss Argenta catch you like that. She can be quite unpleasant. Good luck tonight, and stay awake.
Although the cause of the undulating hill's hypnotic rise and fall has yet to be found, geologists believe it's shaped by underground thermodynamics. Digging down has proved impossible, as the hill's rubber-like surface is impenetrable, and visitors who attempt the trip frequently experience blackouts and other disturbing side effects. The Baconian was founded in 1967 by Olivia Argenta, who believed Sir Francis Bacon was the true author of the works generally associated with Shakespeare. To this day, any play originally thought to be by Shakespeare can only be performed at the Baconian if it is credited to Sir Francis in the programme. On the 16th of April 1953, the crew of a fishing trawler first discovered Merlehaven Island. This day would come to be known as Merlehaven Day, the island's birthday, and every year it's celebrated with the arrival of the Auk Fair. Steve Stewart famously transported the dead in a distinctive blue station wagon until a macabre car accident in 1992 robbed him of his life and his head. Since then, several sightings of a decapitated man driving a blue hearse have given rise to the legend of the Headless Horseman. Generally recognised as one of Mordechai Gray's more whimsical pieces, this painting depicts Marie's farm in 1975, when farmer Marie Abernathy claimed she woke up to find all her chickens were levitating, as if lifted by an invisible hand. Unsurprisingly, Marie's story was met with ridicule, with some blaming it on the work of a poultrygeist, while others called for an exorcist. Saviour's bell was originally sounded to warn islanders of trouble at sea, but its ringing soon became synonymous with drownings instead. Gray's painting depicts Saviour's bell in action at Merlehaven docks, but it was dismantled in 1975 when it was acquired by Gallery Argenta. Despite its removal, some say they can still hear its doleful chimes on stormy nights.
I've just had a call from Lord Barnet asking to loan one of Gray's portraits. They're having a charity auction, they want a centrepiece. Could you be a love and pick one for me? Just leave it in reception, I'll call in for it. I'll be back tomorrow.
That rubber-like surface on the undulating hills is in fact the skin of the North Sea creature that we're currently standing on. Merlehaven isn't an island, it's a monstrous godlike octopus that's taking a bath. Something has changed. Let's not start on the Argentas, shall we? But here's some food for thought. Olivia Argenta bought the rights to the written works of Sir Francis Bacon in 1966. Coincidence? Saviour's bell still gets rung by the unhappy spirits of Merlehaven, mostly witches who were drowned by the triumvirate in the Aurora trials. Mayor Spence ordered the bell to be destroyed, and the triumvirate passed a law banning the paraphernalia of divination. They'd hoped to cover up their sins by severing all ties with the spirit world. Didn't work, did it? The drunken pirates that founded Merlehaven didn't even know what sea they were sailing in, let alone day of the week. According to geologists, they've fairly accurately concluded Merlehaven's actual birthday is the 1st of February, or the 28th of November, or the 9th of December. It's definitely one of those three. It was actually Angel Abernathy, Marie's daughter, that caused all those chickens to levitate. Marie knew that too, because Angel had been trying to cast a scrying spell to find her lost basset hound, but she'd accidentally summoned a rather grumpy spirit instead. This wouldn't have been a problem had there not been so many witnesses, along with the triumvirate having just criminalized all forms of divination. Steve Stewart was a wheeler-dealer who'd take on any job. Stuffing bodies into the back of his car was just the one he was most well known for. He was actually murdered by the Johnsons. They wanted to take over his business, so they beheaded him and made it look like an accident. No wonder his spirit's still driving around the island.
In many murder cases, the killer inadvertently leaves microscopic evidence at the crime scene that is later used to apprehend them. The murder of Mordechai Gray was no exception. That Halloween, a forensics expert pulled hemp fibers from the soft furnishings and wooden floor of Mordechai's loft. They were presumed to have been left by the killer, and although their precise movements could not be tracked, the freshness of the hemp fibers meant they'd been deposited recently. Forensics tracked those fibers down to one place, and one place alone. Merlehaven's butterfly sanctuary. But what did it mean? Based on the decomposition of the trace evidence found, forensics believed that Gray's murderer had visited the butterfly sanctuary just a day or two before their deadly deed.
Sure, I'll take my money for the blood now, but I still need my half of the painting when you sell it. You promise? Don't screw me over, Mordechai. I want to be famous. I want everyone to know my name. Things only go missing on nights I'm performing. Leo said it's because everyone's got their eyes on me. It's funny how the cameras haven't picked anything up. Maybe it's because they've got their eyes on me too. I am very distracting. They might have banned fortune-telling, but they can't ban dreams, can they? No matter how much you push things down, everything seeps into your dreams.
You've got a way of getting secrets out of people, haven't you, Mordechai? Mordechai. Mordechai. Chai. I infuse their drinks with cannabis. Makes them slightly less despondent. For a while.
I did a charity gig for the park, but I did not expect the butterflies to gang up on Pip.
I liked it.
I swarmed him and turned him into one giant butterfly.
It was consensual.
Miss Park has agreed to meet me at the lighthouse. The one that you defaced, remember? Just the three of us. You testify against her, and I will literally pay you in blood. Deal? It's not like the henge. The hills sucks power from up here and drags it down there. Whereas the henge is like a magnifying glass. It amplifies everything. I'd say about half of all criminal cases involve a supernatural plea of one kind or another. Normally that would result in some kind of mental health assessment. But not here, in Merlehaven.
The butchers agreed to settle lab-grown burgers, but she's not happy about the celeb ones. We've already paid for the stem cells, though. Wouldn't you like to eat a minor celebrity?
Yesterday, I scattered Sarah at the Butterfly Park. She was an entomologist from London Zoo. Another victim of the hills. I wonder if the butterflies are studying her now.
So, that woman I mentioned, her, I followed her to the butterfly park, but she disappeared again. I'm gonna keep checking in there, just in case she turns up. Sometimes, when I'm very drunk, he talks to me, if you know what I mean.
Nope.
I mean, if I get really, really drunk, I can see him move on his own.
Classic living doll trope.
That stuff with Layla, it's made me a pariah, so Pip gets all the offers nowadays.
Yeah, I kill less people.
I'm not really in the right headspace to perform, anyway.
Yeah, he's sober.
I'm a bit miffed they didn't want me to do the voice, though.
Yeah, me too, pal.
Would you like to buy Mordechai? Pip, for your best price. And it's for all his royalties too, so it's going to need to be a big number.
Come closer. Look into my eyes. Deep into my eyes. Listen to my voice. Seburi Malavik. Seburi Malavik. Nod if you understand. That's the only thing that Justice Hoon and I don't see eye to eye on. I don't think paraphernalia of divination should remain criminalised. They were extraordinary times that led to that law.
You said one of the tennis twins was sick. I can't legally deal out advice anymore, but I'll help if I can. I can review the medication she's on and check any results. I'm not much of a businessman, Mordechai. It takes me far too long to make a clock, and I charge far too little for it. Fortunately, Mother had some investments she'd kept hidden from me. I initially thought my exhaustion was brucellosis from hunting boar in the Algiers. But it's genetic, Mordechai. Von Willebrand's disease. Sounds like I'm some kind of promiscuous playboy, doesn't it? You said one of the tennis twins was sick. I can't legally deal out advice anymore, but I'll help if I can. I can review the medication she's on and check any results. It's tried, but I fell in love with my teacher. And I never told her. Kyoko didn't know for 1 minute where I wanted to place my second hand. A clockmaker's joke. If only life had been different.
The Butterfly Sanctuary is my spiritual home. It's actually where I met Adam. I thought it was a sign, but it was just an open day. No entry fee. We go there a lot.
When I am in my Vice Justice robes, you will obey me. Or else. But I'm harmless as a butterfly, really.
You say the hills changed you, but in a good way? I've dealt with patients who have been to the undulating hills. It cooks them, turns their insides hard. That reminds me of Nancy, from the play. The only thing they found in that grandfather clock was a butterfly. A butterfly. Did Nancy really change into something else? I sometimes go to the Butterfly Sanctuary to calm my nerves, and I wonder if any of the butterflies are Nancy.
Cherry tried out for the lead role that I ended up getting. She could have kept this one for herself, but she persuaded them to let me audition. It's kind, right? She's a good person. But I'm still glad I beat her. See, I'm a snake. I could feel Leo's eyes on me all night, so later, when he was closing up, I went back out on stage and put on a private show just for him.
The future is lab-grown meat. If you can eat animal meat, you can eat lab meat. It's exactly the same. Just less murdery.
Did you visit the butterfly park the day of the murder?
Briefly, yes.
And what were you doing there?
Looking at the butterflies. Thinking about the sheer force of will needed to become someone new. Why?
Just trying to establish a timeline.
Aren't we all?
I scatter ashes at the butterfly park all the time.
Wearing disposable overshoes?
Yeah. When you scatter as many dead people as I do, you don't want to be treading them about forever. My own shoes wouldn't have a trace.
I'm, waiting to meet someone there.
So you've been to the butterfly park recently?
Yeah, I go there almost every day at the moment, you know, in case she comes back.
I've been in and out over the past few weeks. They're appealing our permit decision.
When was last time?
Day before Halloween? Whenever I turn up, they just make a big song and dance about having to clear up so many butterfly corpses.
I'm a patron and I had to deliver some paperwork.
So you were at the butterfly park on Halloween?
Yes, along with half of Melhaven.
I think that's all we need.
What does that mean?
yes.
You think the floors are a bit lumpy, right? Well, Miss Argenta said this place was built on a hellmouth, and I'm pretty sure that's just an old movie reference, but I guess if you see any, vampires, then, stake 'em. They don't show a valid ticket. Be careful tonight. They've reopened Mordechai's murder case, and I'm expecting trouble. For you. So, stay safe.
The chalk cellars are home to one of Merlehaven's largest exports, Merle Port wine. Using water from a natural spring in the Aurora Woods, the wine is said to have great healing and sometimes hallucinogenic properties. It's also the only alcohol that licensed premises can serve at all times of the day. Native to Merlehaven, the wild boar is generally harmless, though sometimes still hunted for sport. It's a frowned-upon activity that the triumvirate continuously consider banning, and Gray was against the hunt too. His painting aimed to bring more eyes onto their plight. Merlehaven is famously close to the spirit world, with many saying the fabric of the universe is stretched unnaturally thin here. Gray believed that most past inhabitants of Merlehaven were still on the island, including his mother. Merlehaven welcomes people of all religions, and today, Merlehaven Chapel is at the heart of the community, hosting weddings, burials, and ceremonies that mark the quarter and cross-quarter moons. Mordechai frequented the chapel as a child, up until his mother died. Now a spectacle for tourists, Merlehaven's coal mines were operational for over 2 decades before being shut down. Mallow coal is exclusive to Merlehaven, a type of coal that is spongy to the touch and burns brighter and longer than hard coal. However, the life expectancy of a Mallow coal miner was around 2 years, and because of this, mining was made illegal in 1975. One surprising fact in Merlehaven's natural history is the dramatic increase in starlings populating the island. Numbers of these iridescent birds have massively declined on the UK mainland, yet Merlehaven seems to attract more and more every day, leading to several spectacular and prophetic murmurations. What magic power does the island hold over these birds?
Hey, could you set aside a couple of Grace portraits for me, please? Just leave them in reception. One of them's going to be going on a permanent vacation, so don't pick your favourites. Thanks.
Find the crystal ball. It's no surprise that over 90% of Merlehaven tourists have already tasted the pleasures of Merle port wine before their arrival. It's almost as if it contained an ingredient that was luring them here. Every year, on the night before Halloween, the Triumvirate organizes a secret boar hunt as a peace tribute to the incoming wave of spirits. They will never ban boar hunting unless it looks like they might run out of boars. Mordechai's depiction of a spirit was commissioned as an advertising poster and postcard for the Merlehaven Centre for Tourism. There's nothing remotely spooky or accurate about it.
Hey, 'Cause you set aside a couple of Grace portraits for me, please? Just leave them in reception. Thanks.
「
Merlehaven is a godless place, with a religion that tries to please all faiths, adopting pieces it fancies from all of them. Ironically, the chapel wasn't very welcoming at all, and was the site of hundreds of ritual executions that included anyone accused of witchcraft and anyone that spoke out against Mage Scrivener at the time. Starlings are Earth's spiritual guardians that often migrate to places where immense evil is brewing. In Merlehaven's case, they're gathering on the very creature that rose out of the ocean almost 70 years ago. What do they know that we don't? Merlehaven doesn't have coal. Mallow coal is basically the guts of the island. It is, like they said, very powerful and supernatural. But the island wasn't very happy having its guts removed, and soon found ways to kill the miners trying to disembowel it. The mines still ooze mallow coal from time to time, where the rock face is at its weakest.
Well, Mother and Father specialize in humans, not insects. But the director of the sanctuary is a friend, and he helped them get some funding for their study. You can't really be that choosy on an island of this size when it comes to recruiting geneticists. Maybe it's something that medicine can't fix. Maybe she's just broken, like buttons. But Monday's a survivor. I'm not worried. Monday's not been sleeping well at the moment. She keeps having nightmares. Father's been monitoring her brain activity, which sounds excessive, but I suppose he's just concerned.
Do you ever visit the butterfly sanctuary?
My parents were working there. Not anymore, though.
We think the murderer visited the sanctuary sometime in the days leading up to Mordechai Gray's murder. We found fibers at the scene.
Well, As I said, my parents worked there, so there was probably some cross-contamination.
Incapacitated and tied to a chair with climbing rope, Mordechai Gray would finally meet his end. Stabbed to death with an antique silver dagger. Finding the murder weapon is often a pivotal moment in any murder case, but sadly, not this time. The silver dagger had been dumped in an alley behind Sunvale Parade in a commercial wheelie bin. With no prints or trace evidence to go on, it was fortuitous that the only antiques dealer on Merlehaven, Ishmael Gauchi, remembered selling the piece just weeks before. But who did they sell it to? None other than Mordechai Gray. But was it really Mordechai? The transaction had been made with an envelope of cash, and the purchaser was wearing motorcycle leathers and a helmet, obscuring their identity. Ishmael stated that the buyer asked for the piece by its display case number, a very important point. Why? Because the dagger had only been available inside the store since the beginning of October, so the murderer or their accomplice must have visited the antiques dealer in that time.
I'll protect her next time. I won't let anything hurt her. I'll remove every sharp thing. I'll watch over her when she's sleeping. I'll protect her from evil. I'll protect her from you. I stole Mother's keycard to the lab. I had to know the truth. I found boxes and boxes of notes, records on all of their tests and observations and experiments. They lied to us. They're not our parents. I don't know who they are, but they fled.
Nobody will believe you. What will you tell them? That the Vice Justice is correcting people in her correctional facility. People don't care how it's done. They just want it to be done. Electrotherapy, surgery, security. The manor is very expensive to run. You know, it's cheaper to feed patients than to starve them in isolation. But we do whatever is needed, whatever the cost. Electrotherapy, surgery, security. The manor is very expensive to run. You know, it's cheaper to feed patients than to starve them in isolation. But we do whatever is needed, whatever the cost.
We were poor. The Johnsons had seen to that. I was too young to really understand what was going on. And they told me it was just a new type of chicken. It tasted forbidden. But it tasted good. You wanted more of it. And there was always more to go round.
Spence is my mother's maiden name. My grandfather was Mayor Rickman Spence. I do not agree with his politics. He tried to drown my grandmother in the Aurora trials too.
I stole Mother's keycard to the lab. I had to know the truth. I found boxes and boxes of notes, records on all of their tests and observations and experiments. They lied to us. They're not our parents. I don't know who they are, but they fled.
Insurance, banking, telecoms. Johnsons didn't need funerals too. They were trying to capitalise on Steve's death. That's why I messed up their mortuary. I was angry.
We have a treasure trove of luxurious lore at the manor. It's fascinating to think that it was all passed down from the founding triumvirate.
I didn't make Pip. I just crawl under the bed, terrified. It was my dad. He gave Pip to me to lure me out, to make amends for all the abuse that I'd suffered. Let's imagine that Pip is a bit like a smart speaker and can pick up everything you say and report it back to me. You know, stuff like transumption, cloning, supernatural powers and so on. But wait, before we talk about this, let's talk about Kyra.
Don't you just hate blackmailers? Tell people what you want. You don't have any proof. I'll tell them you've been stealing and abusing bodies from my morgue.
You put the diamond orc in my bag. Why would you do that? They emptied everything out when they accused me of stealing. No. Wait, no. Leo must have it. Leo must have it. This has better not be a joke, Mordechai. I'm going to check now. You stay here. Ah, yes, being a stubborn bitch. It's my secret weapon. I'm not giving up. The guy who runs the antique store, does he also buy things? I have some of my dad's stuff I think I can sell. I saw it for myself. Sitting on customers' laps, wrapping my arms around them and slipping their watches off their wrists. It was me, but it wasn't me. I can't explain it, but I didn't do it. I asked Leo how he thought I stole from customers while I was performing. He didn't have an answer. I asked to see the security footage to prove it wasn't me. He couldn't even look at me.
I think she's your secret weapon. Where is she now? Finding a new sucker? He found him in the undulating hills. Just picked him up and gave him to me, aged 11. He does talk, you know, without me. And he says he wants to come back. or bad things are going to happen to you. Did you steal my motorbike? I mean, you've taken everything else. I wouldn't have put it past you. Now I can't even earn money as a courier.
What do you mean you're donating it to the Orc Society? For free? What's 50% of nothing, Mordechai? What am I supposed to do now? Leo's fired me. I've got nothing. Please, Mordechai, don't screw me over. Perhaps you could paint me again and sell that one instead. I could wear even less next time, whichever would make the most money.
People kill animals to eat them, but they won't eat things that are already dead. Instead, we think it's better to spend all that energy incinerating them or filling the planet with burial plots. Jenna does a lot of antiquing online, and then she trades it with a local shop. Nothing too big. She's only got a motorbike.
I had a dream again about the snake last night. Only this time, the snake wasn't me. It was wrapping itself around me, squeezing tighter and tighter, staring at me with its evil eyes. It was squeezing so tight that I woke up choking. I was bluffing. No one would have believed me anyway. You're a celebrated artist. You have all the power. Who am I?
Justice Hoon lost his marbles years ago. He can barely form a sentence. I've been the head of justice all this time, and it's very efficient. If I need a new law, I simply pass one. We have a treasure trove of luxurious lore at the manor. It's fascinating to think it was all passed down from the founding triumvirate.
Did I tell you Mother and Father collect antiques? Ishmael is practically family. He saw that clock you gave us. He told me to burn it. You knew what it was, didn't you?
I had a dream again about the snake last night. Only this time, the snake wasn't me. It was wrapping itself around me, squeezing tighter and tighter, staring at me with its evil eyes. It was squeezing so tight that I woke up choking.
A lot of people joke it's to improve tourism. And I don't like to talk about it because people say I'm baked all the time, but I can see them in the mortuary. They tell me their stories, but I pretend to ignore them. Like Mr. Britton. I suppose I could add some special mince to the meat buckets at the butcher's. Wait, why are you encouraging me, Mordechai? You'd love that, wouldn't you?
I live at the funeral home. There's not much point trying to live anywhere else. It stops criminals trying to break in too. At least, most of the time.
I have developed a 100% method of rehabilitation so that no future crimes are committed. And no, it's not death. I have a desire to help people.
Well, I thought my mum was going to kill my dad at one point. Pretty much why I just hid in my room all the time. A bit more time to work on Pip, I guess.
No, my line is not highly secure by any means. If I phone anyone off the record, I use public phone boxes. Burner phones on Millhaven. As if.
Ishmael said you visited his store recently.
Who?
The antique store owner?
Oh, yes. I was trying to sell some of my dad's old watches. I needed the money to get to Paris.
Did you buy anything?
I don't remember.
You don't remember if you bought anything?
I was very upset at the time.
Jenna is always antiquing. And I have to hear about everything she's seen.
Does she collect antique weapons?
You need to ask her about that.
Does Jenna own a motorbike?
She does.
Ever run errands for you?
We're besties. What do you think?
Ishmael's a lovely guy, but I've never even been in his shop. I mean, I couldn't afford an antique even if I wanted one.
Ever had any dealings with Ishmael?
He made an offer to buy Pip once. And nobody's found Pip. Maybe you should be questioning him.
I've never been. I buy antiques online, half the price and twice as authentic.
Ever seen this dagger?
That's a very bad replica of a luxurious Chenkadea. It's missing all the details on the hilt, and it's the wrong shape.
Is it yours?
No, it's sacrilegious.
They get their antiques from lots of different places. Auctions, mostly.
What about Ishmael's shop? Do you go there often?
Not really. I'm not into old things.
But you were there a few weeks before Mordechai's murder.
Oh, yes. Father asked me to collect something for him.
Did you look around?
For a minute. Ishmael had to fetch the item from storage.
Yes!
Thanks for calling the Tips Hotline. I'm Eli, and I'll be helping you today. Let me see. You'd like to know who's innocent this time round? Okay, I can tell you that one innocent party is Otto. Have a nice day.
Tips Hotline is now hiring. Are you a fan of Tips Hotline? If so, we'd be delighted to stage a remote interview with you. Just upload audio or video of you giving your best customer service advice. Hashtag Tips Hotline Interview.
What were you doing in the theatre district on the morning of the 31st of October?
I had to pick some things up from Adams.
So, Mr. Taylor can vouch for you?
No, he wasn't there. He just left them outside.
Did you use the payphone?
Yes, but only to call a cab. My battery was dead.
Did you visit the butterfly park the day of the murder?
Briefly, yes.
And what were you doing there?
Looking at the butterflies. Thinking about the sheer force of will needed to become someone new. Why?
Just trying to establish a timeline.
Aren't we all?
Ishmael said you visited his store recently.
Who?
The antique store owner?
Oh, yes. I was trying to sell some of my dad's old watches. I needed the money to get to Paris.
Did you buy anything?
I don't remember.
You don't remember if you bought anything?
I was very upset at the time.
I was in the phone booth, but I didn't make a call.
What were you doing?
I was putting up flyers.
For what? You're the only undertaker on the island.
For the meat business.
We didn't find anything in the booth.
Good. Means someone took it. I scatter ashes at the butterfly park all the time.
Wearing disposable overshoes?
Yeah. When you scatter as many dead people as I do, you don't want to be treading them about forever. My own shoes wouldn't have a trace. Jenna is always antiquing. And I have to hear about everything she's seen.
Does she collect antique weapons?
You need to ask her about that.
Does Jenna own a motorbike?
She does.
Ever run errands for you?
We're besties. What do you think?
I called a few fans, yeah.
You didn't call Mordechai Gray?
I lost his number a long time ago.
How long were the calls?
Not long, usually a minute or so. They usually just want me to say something using his voice, you know.
Did you call Gray?
Oh, yeah, I dialed 666 666, that's it, innit?
That's actually quite close.
I'm, waiting to meet someone there.
So you've been to the butterfly park recently?
Yeah, I go there almost every day at the moment, you know, in case she comes back. Ishmael's a lovely guy, but I've never even been in his shop. I mean, I couldn't afford an antique even if I wanted one.
Ever had any dealings with Ishmael?
He made an offer to buy Pip once. And nobody's found Pip. Maybe you should be questioning him.
I don't recall, sorry.
Have you ever used the phone box in the theatre district?
Yes.
On Halloween?
I said I don't remember. Why? Did anyone see me? I've been in and out over the past few weeks. They're appealing our permit decision.
When was last time?
Day before Halloween? Whenever I turn up, they just make a big song and dance about having to clear up so many butterfly corpses. I've never been. I buy antiques online, half the price and twice as authentic.
Ever seen this dagger?
That's a very bad replica of a luxurious Chenkadea. It's missing all the details on the hilt, and it's the wrong shape.
Is it yours?
No, it's sacrilegious.
Do you often visit the theatre district?
We used to. We like the deli.
Did you go there on the morning of Halloween?
No.
You're sure?
Yes, I was running a training camp for some local children.
Where was this?
At our house. We have a private court and Monday insisted we share it.
Do you ever visit the Butterfly Sanctuary?
My parents were working there. Not anymore, though.
We think the murderer visited the sanctuary sometime in the days leading up to Mordechai Gray's murder. We found fibres at the scene.
Well, as I said, my parents worked there, so there was probably some cross-contamination. They get their antiques from lots of different places. Auctions, mostly.
What about Ishmael's shop? Do you go there often?
Not really. I'm not into old things.
But you were there a few weeks before Mordecai's murder.
Oh, yes. Father asked me to collect something for him.
Did you look around?
For a minute. Ishmael had to fetch the item from storage.
No, I didn't use the phone that day.
But you do frequently use the public phone booth Mr. Gray was called from.
Yes, but not on that day. What are you trying to say, Detective? I'm a patron and I had to deliver some paperwork.
So you were at the Butterfly Park on Halloween?
Yes, along with half of Merlhaven.
I think that's all we need.
What does that mean?
Do you often visit the theatre district?
We used to. We like the deli.
Did you go there on the morning of Halloween?
No.
You're sure?
Yes, I was running a training camp for some local children.
Where was this?
At our house. We have a private court and Monday insisted we share it.
Oh no!
Do you ever visit the Butterfly Sanctuary?
My parents were working there. Not anymore, though.
We think the murderer visited the sanctuary sometime in the days leading up to Mordecai Gray's murder. We found fibres at the scene.
Well, as I said, my parents worked there, so there was probably some cross-contamination.
Yes.
They get their antiques from lots of different places. Auctions, mostly.
What about Ishmael's shop? Do you go there often?
Not really. I'm not into old things.
But you were there a few weeks before Mordecai's murder.
Oh, yes. Father asked me to collect something for him.
Did you look around?
For a minute. Ishmael had to fetch the item from storage.
Yes.
Well, this is awkward. No, I did not kill Mordechai, so that's an unforced error on your part. Shall I put you out of your misery?
You should have just given me the money, Mordecai. I would have made you so proud.
Well, that's it for the Grey exhibition. Time to pack up the paintings until next year. I wonder if they'll ever solve his murder. Probably not. Anyway, you better head off. Unless you want to do some overtime?